Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, it's gorgeous out. Let's go to the cabin. And I don't mean that one. Today I had another great opportunity to just come up to the cabin. Every chance I get to get away from home, put down the technology, and just go be in nature is always a good thing. They've proven time and time again how healthy it is for us. We had to get into the cabin first. There's always a trek in. It's kind of funny. The last time Toby and I were up here, I don't think he was 6 years old. There's some great footage from that time.
Now, we're at the dirt road. Toby is help driving. Dad's wheel.
You're helping to drive Dad's wheel? A little bit of snow at the cabin. Hey, you guys ready?
Yeah. I see the fire.
What does it look like?
Tree pump. That's a pumpkin. But really, it's a piece of wood that from the fire.
We looked over and we thought we saw a pumpkin in the flames.
But it was really just part of the wood.
Warm enough, even with the crystallized snow, to make a little snow person. And there's one thing snowmen don't like. Say, snowman, don't get fired?
Yeah.
Okay, snowman, don't get fired. Wah, I have to go home. And look who's getting a free ride.
It's long.
It's really long. It's got some coal in there. Toby, what's that we're looking at?
Tree.
Yeah.
Cool tree.
Truly one of my fondest memories is bringing the kids up when they were young and the sledding down to what we call the Partridge Hill or the Sandy Hill. It was a perfect sled hill. It was great. We got in, we assessed the situation, all the beauty with the snow and the drifts. Got a fire started. Super important, we got to get the cabin. It's interesting, on a day like today when it's 30 degrees outside, it's colder in the cabin than it is outside, even when it's 40 degrees in there, because the sun is so powerful in March. We hopped up on the roof, got that shoveled so we wouldn't create too much, ice dams after we start a fire in the wintertime. It's always been one of my dad's biggest fears is having the time up at the cabin in the winter, freeze thaw, and so we took care of the roof, so that shouldn't be a problem. Our first hike today was along the river. Such a unique perspective. We're on the ice, frozen, 200 yards out, looking back at the cabin, just walking down the river. Nobody up at the cabin this time of year. Then we have to make sure we get up to the shack. This is quite a unique perspective of a place that I've known as the shack all of my life. When we were young kids, we used to come to this cabin. We called it the shack. So my grandfather, who sits over my right shoulder when I do all my productions, Grandfather Gramps, my Uncle Joe, and their friend Skip, they owned this cabin. Hunting shack. And it was known as the shack ever since. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, so we would come up here. And now I'm up here in the wintertime. I don't think I've ever but twice seen this cabin in the wintertime. This is probably the third time. Such a unique perspective. Standing on the ice, a couple feet above water level because of all the snowpack. A lot of years up here. So quiet up here in the winter, it's just amazing. It's a nice look at the trees with a different perspective too, because you see all the leaves gone, of course. So the silhouette of the trees, which we love so much in bonsai, just comes just blaring right at you. You can see every branch. The shack. Hike number 2 today, back to the Jack Forest that was re-established a few years back. Toby and I got some great aerial footage during the summertime, so it's really cool to see this in the wintertime. The most fascinating part of the trip though is we saw trees that are literally bent over and buried. Some of them you can only see a couple of needles sticking out of the snow. So it's very bizarre. Wind knocked them over a little bit, but then the heavy snow we've had this year with these young trees, very pliable trees. I got a twin trunk or a split where one just fell off. So in nature, the weight of the snow, now the tree's gonna curve to the right or left. So again, it's always nice to see in nature some of the things we try to replicate in bonsai that people go like, ah, you worked on that, you manipulated that. Yeah, we kind of do. It's an art form, right? And art imitating life. And so some really cool, just, you know, barren or desolate winter scene where these trees are just been annihilated with the snow this year. It'll be interesting now in spring and summer to see how they pop up and what part of the curve shape will they keep, or will they continue to go back up to the sun and straighten out? They're young and pliable, so who knows? As always, you just can't beat being out here though. There's no one else out here. We're hearing some birds, more of those spring birds starting to make some chirps throughout the day. And other than some highway noise now, because it's so quiet, this is why we still enjoy Minnesota even though it's cold. You just can't beat this. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The jack pines look like they're doing good, but I'm surprised at all those bent over trees. That's phenomenal. All of that has been glorious, but I have to work on a tree. It's just in my bones. We did all the stuff we had to do, so it was time to tackle the Cabin Yamadori. This oak tree is something else. It's been slowly getting closer to the water over the years. It's hollow, and it still survives. This is where art imitating life is so fascinating in bonsai, because you see bonsai trees that are like, no way, well, how, that doesn't look at this tree. I've got a whole bunch of pictures from the years when I've trimmed it, just as it's getting closer and closer to the water, up until today, taking a peek at it. What will I cut off? This is kind of challenging. We have not a coastal live oak, we have a Gull River shoreline oak. It's kept its leaves on, which many oaks do in the upper Midwest, and so I can't tell really which branches are stronger or weaker. I'm about a foot or more higher off where the river would be normally. This is hard to do in a boat. This tree's getting harder to climb. There's a couple branches that bothered me. I got a couple off of the top, and those will be the hardest, of course, to reach in this summer. So that was good to get those. Just like my bonsai in the pot, I'm just looking at branches that might be maybe vertical of each other. We'll take the top one off so you have that branch going out. So here's one thing that I can do on my bonsai trees, and I can do here as well with this oak on the shoreline of the Gull River. We have a branch right here that splits into two right above my loppers here, right here and here, left and right. And this one splits right away, which is okay, it's fine, but these three branches are really crowding each other out. And the one up here is probably blocking the light of this one. This one down here will be the weakest one. So we'll leave this upper one, we'll leave this upper one, and we'll cut this one right here to let those two shine, because the bottom one is just going to end up being a little bit weaker. So if I had a little bit better bonsai shear, I'd come in here, but let's just use the lopper end. Just like that, we've got this cut right here. Now you see right here, we can almost have a little bit of subtle bonsai movement right here, and this will kind of die off and heal over, and these two branches will be the superstars. This one just wouldn't have done as good. So that's a good example of three branches. Could I have kept all three? Yeah, but they're really close together, and they're just, one of them's not going to do as well, and one of them's shaded out, right? And so this branch right here, it's got a nice division here. It comes here, and this one swoops down around. Really fun movement on this one. This is going up to the sky, and this one's going here. So as trees get up higher in the apex of a tree, these grow more towards the light, and these grow more out. You have to decide what part of the tree it's on to decide if you want to keep the lower one, the higher one, and if you want directional pruning. If this is going to be under all of this that we just pruned, we'd probably cut this really beautiful branch off, right? But it is cool because it's curving, and it's got really good movement, which we always want in bonsai. This is below where we just cut, and here's the nice split right there, but look at this third one in the middle. And on a bonsai tree in a pot, that's just gonna make a big bulge right there and look kind of ugly. And so we would cut this middle piece out right up here. It's just not needed. And then we can put more energy to these two branches. I don't know if I'll get the loppers in there today though. I can try, but that would be a good place for me to have one of my smaller bonsai clippers. We typically don't like branches growing down or straight up on a tree. Now this has some really nice division in here of all these big thick branches, but then there's one way tucked in here by the ladder, and there's one right here that's going down in a weird spot. This one's just better off, and it's not going to get much light under here, and so now we have these really nice branches, nice and flowing out real nice, and we just get rid of this bottom one right here. But then there's one in here. This is this tree trying to still thicken up, and so if I can reach these loppers in there, we'll just go in there and we'll just go and cut that one off too. And now this is nice and clean and open, and from a distance you can watch the trunk line up this tree. And we're always trying to see the trunk line of our tree. We talk about fronts of the tree, and now from the boats when we're out fishing on the river, I will look at this tree and go, oh, look at the nice movement, look at how clean it is, and I can see the line of the trunk. No one else will, of course. Anywhere there's 3, I can cut down to 2. Just kind of bringing it more compact, just like a bonsai. This thing, as we take a look at it, it's growing out of the bank. It's almost completely horizontal to the river, and it's a hollow trunk. So this thing, I can't even believe that it's still alive. But I do love coming up here every year in all the seasons and seeing the Cabin Yamadori. Okay, I haven't collected it yet. I think we'll keep it in the banks of the Gull River. But it's been fun to look at and kind of work on. I've been trimming it over the last couple of years. Another great cabin trip. My thanks as always to Toby, my cameraman today, my comrade. The aerial footage is phenomenal. Can't wait to do the next one. And we talked about that today. You know, we've got to put on the calendar at least once a month when you just get out of the house. Winter, spring, summer, fall, and go take some aerial footage. Get that drone out, or just be outside. I mean, right now, this is heaven. I often struggle as a YouTuber and a bonsai enthusiast of spending too much time with those two hobbies, right? Working on the trees, filming them a lot of the time. And there's times where I just need to turn the camera off. So now it's that time. Hey, thanks for watching. Take care of you. Take care of your bonsai. And you know what? We're going to catch you very, very soon.